Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Tony here with Italian Dual Citizenship Assistance, and I am back as promised with an updated video to my video on Italian citizenship eligibility. Now, just after that video was recorded, of course, the Ministry of the Interior in Italy released a new circular. This was on May 28th that clarifies many key points under the new Italian citizenship law, known as Law Number 74 of 2025. Now, there were several apparent loopholes left open in the wording of the law itself. The May 28th circular closed those loopholes, so the circular has made the new eligibility rules tighter than they were before in some instances. The good news is the previous video I created on eligibility was largely accurate, but these new points made clear by the circular are very important. So here we go with a new video on the subject to bring you fully up to date with where we are as of now. Now, we also get the message from the circular that the law is designed to sit on top of existing rules and guidelines where applicable. So things like the minor issue 1948 cases, pre-Cable Act naturalizations are all expected to work largely the same way, but with the new eligibility restrictions layered on top. So, for example, 1948 cases should work largely the same as they have, with the added layer that they're now limited to claims based on parents and grandparents. However, I will add that specifically with 1948 cases, there have been a number of attorneys who have stated that they believe these cases could be somewhat outside the scope because they're judicial claims rooted in constitutional principles rather than statutory law. So while the new law imposes these new restrictions, it's possible, according to some attorneys, that the 1948 judicial pathway could remain partially separate from the new framework. We'll have to watch and see how the courts actually handle that. But I did want to point that out because the 1948 case crowd is always wondering how this applies to them. And the truth is that the decree, the new law, the circular, they don't really mention 1948 cases specifically, but we get the idea from everything in these laws and the gist of them that 1948 cases should, like I said, continue to work the same way, just with the eligibility restrictions potentially layered on top. And again, we'll have to see how those actually play out. Now, a reminder before we get started that I am not an Italian attorney and can't give you legal advice, but my goal here is to give you the most complete and accurate picture we have on the eligibility requirements under the new law as of today. Now, the new law is complex, and I will keep you updated as our collective understanding of the law and its implementation grows. Now, this information represents the current position of Italian law, but it's not the end of the story. There are still many legal and constitutional challenges ahead, and there may well be options for those who are currently blocked by these restrictive eligibility rules. I'll cover those legal challenges and options in a future video. And in addition, all of the legal and constitutional challenge this new law is most probably going to face. There's still the possibility also of legislative change through Bill DDL 1450, which I covered in detail in a previous video here on the channel. So I encourage you to go back and check out the DDL 1450 video and familiarize yourself with that bill and what it may mean for future legislation. Now, for this video, I've created a detailed eligibility guide. It's a matrix, which you can see on your screen here, which you can download through the link in the video description, and I'll put it also in a pinned comment at the top of the comments for the video. I'm also going to update that pinned comment with any updates that this video needs as new information comes out. And of course, I won't hesitate to recreate a new eligibility video if we get to the point where things have changed substantially enough that that is warranted. So I'm going to walk you through the full eligibility matrix, which incorporates the updates from the ministry circular, and I will highlight any special factors to watch out for. You can also download the eligibility guide here via the link on your screen through italiandual.com/blog. You'll see the newest blog entry is this eligibility guide as well. And before we dive in, a reminder to please like and subscribe so you don't miss future updates. And please share this video with anyone you think would find this eligibility information or the content on this channel helpful. And one more quick note, some scenarios are impacted by what is called the minor issue. And I know you are all about to ask me, well, what about the minor issue? Well, for those who don't know, this is where applicants are blocked when an Italian-born ancestor naturalized or became a citizen of another country outside of Italy before their child, who is the next in line in this line of ancestry, reached adulthood. Adulthood is defined as 21 and up prior to 1975 and 18 and up from 1975 onward, according to Italian law. So in the third column of this matrix, which says process/what to do, I've added notes about where this minor issue might still block applicants, and I'll point it out as we go. As I said previously, the law seems to be intended to layer on top of existing rules and guidelines, etc. So as far as we know, the minor issue would still be intact, although, as I've stated in previous videos, the minor issue is largely superseded in most cases by the fact that there's a requirement for the ancestor to hold exclusively Italian citizenship at the time of the application for the applicant or at the time of death of that ancestor. We will see more about how that works as we step through the eligibility guide here. Now, scenario one, if you were born in Italy to a parent who was an Italian citizen at the time of your birth, you are considered a citizen from birth. This is an automatic acquisition of citizenship, and if you live abroad, you'll need to register with the AIRE. That's the Registry of Italian Citizens Living Abroad. However, this scenario may be impacted if your parent lost Italian citizenship before you reached adulthood, i.e. the minor issue, and you resided abroad with them. Italian citizenship in this scenario passes automatically to children born while the parent still holds Italian citizenship. In scenario two, if you were born abroad to a parent who was an Italian citizen at the time of your birth and who held no other citizenship, you are also considered a citizen from birth. This is an automatic acquisition of citizenship, and you'll need to apply for registration at the Italian consulate if you're abroad, or at the local comune if you're located in Italy. You need to do this at whichever has jurisdiction over where you live. So there's an Italian consulate that will have jurisdiction over where you live. And if you live in Italy, there will be a comune that has jurisdiction over where you live. Now, this may be impacted if your parent lost Italian citizenship before you reached adulthood, the minor issue. In this scenario, in scenario two here, citizenship passes automatically to children born while the parent still holds Italian citizenship. Now, next up, scenario three. If you were born abroad to a parent who had another citizenship at birth, but your grandparent was solely an Italian citizen at the time of your parent's birth, you are considered a citizen from birth only if your parent also retained citizenship and there was no skipping of generations. You must prove that the line of citizenship was not interrupted. This is an automatic acquisition of citizenship, and you'll need to apply for registration at the consulate or comune as appropriate, as I mentioned in the previous scenario. Same is going to apply to each one of these. When I say consulate or comune, it's whichever has jurisdiction over where you live is where you'll need to apply. Now, this scenario may be impacted by the minor issue, and in this citizenship scenario, citizenship passes automatically to children born while the parent still holds Italian citizenship. Next up, we've got scenario four. Now, in this scenario, if you were born abroad and have either a parent or grandparent who was an Italian citizen who lived in Italy for at least 2 years before you were born, you are considered a citizen from birth. This is an automatic acquisition of citizenship, and you'll need to apply for registration at the consulate or comune. This may be impacted again, by the minor issue. In the case that your qualifying relative is your parent and they lost Italian citizenship before you reached adulthood, in this scenario, citizenship passes automatically to children born while the parent still holds Italian citizenship. Next up, we have scenario 5. Now, if you're a minor child born abroad to a parent who was an Italian citizen from birth, including those recognized as such before March 28, 2025, and your parent made a declaration for you to be recognized as Italian within 1 year of your birth or by the temporary deadline of May 31st, 2026, you become a citizen by acquisition and not a citizen from birth. To complete this process, you'll need to apply for registration at the consulate or comune. It's important to note that this status is not automatic. A new declaration must be made for each generation within 1 year of birth, or you'll need to use another path. Now, scenario 6. In this event, you qualify if you are a minor born abroad to a parent who was an Italian citizen from birth, including those recognized as such before March 28, 2025, and your parent declared you to be Italian, and you lived in Italy for at least 2 years as a minor. Through this, you can become a citizen by acquisition. This process must be completed while you're still a minor, and you'll need to apply for registration at the Italian consulate if you live abroad and the local comune if you're in Italy. This is not automatic. Each generation must complete this residence and declaration process separately. All right, next up, we have scenario 7. If you were born abroad to a parent who was an Italian citizen, current or former, and you were not registered as an Italian citizen within 1 year of your birth, you can acquire citizenship as an adult by living in Italy for 2 years. This is a citizenship by acquisition process, and minor children of the applicant may be included. As an adult, you'll need to move to Italy, reside there for 2 years continuously, and apply for recognition at the local comune. This process may be impacted in some consular practices if your parent lost Italian citizenship before you reached adulthood. Again, the minor issue. A transmission of citizenship to children is not automatic. The parent must reacquire citizenship first before it can be passed on. In scenario 8, if you are an adult grandchild of someone who was an Italian citizen, current or former, and you were not registered as an Italian citizen within 1 year of your birth, you can acquire citizenship as an adult by living in Italy for 2 years. This is a citizenship by acquisition process, and minor children of the applicant may be included. You'll need to move to Italy, live there for 2 years continuously, and apply for recognition at the local comune. Transmission of citizenship to children is not automatic. You must reacquire citizenship first before it can be passed on. And this is very similar to scenario 7 in that way. Now, scenario 9. So this is with regard to 1948 cases. So if you or your parent were born to an Italian mother before January 1st of 1948 and would have been recognized as an Italian citizen at birth, if not for the pre-1948 exclusion of maternal transmission under Italian law, then you cannot use the administrative process. Instead, citizenship in this scenario must be pursued through a judicial petition in an Italian court. You'll need to obtain a court ruling. Transmission of citizenship to children depends on a successful court ruling confirming the status for the parent or applicants. This process is based on court decisions, and there is no direct statutory provision. Again, I said in this scenario, if you or your parent were born to an Italian mother. So, with regard to this scenario, for this purpose, I've limited it to 2 generations. So, this would only apply to you or your parent because that would apply to a 1948 case through either your parent or grandparent and not any further back. That's assuming that that limitation of eligibility to the first and second degree to parents and grandparents continues to also apply to 1948 cases. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, there is some speculation that 1948 cases could potentially work differently and that the judges in these cases may have some latitude with how they can decide. And the 10th and final scenario, this is with regard to reacquisition of lost Italian citizenship. This is not expressly a citizenship by descent process, but it's covered in the new law and the circular. So I thought I would go ahead and include it here because it is something that comes up a lot in questions that I get in my Facebook group, my Italian Dual Citizenship Assistance Facebook group, and here on YouTube. So, scenario 10, if you lost citizenship before August 15th of 1992, that's the year in which dual citizenship became possible under Italian law, then you can reacquire your lost Italian citizenship by making a declaration at the Italian consulate or at the local comune. Again, this must be the consulate that has jurisdiction over the town in which you live, or you can do this at the comune if you live in Italy. Now, this is a citizenship by reacquisition process, not citizenship from birth. There is no minimum residency requirement in Italy, and residency is no longer required as it has been in the past under this new program set up by the new law. But reacquisition is only valid after your declaration has been formally accepted. Transmission to children is also not automatic under this reacquisition scenario. It may be considered that there was a gap in Italian citizenship from the time you renounced it to the time you got it back, and it does not automatically apply to children. So your children will need to go back through the 10 scenarios in this eligibility guide and determine which one is most applicable. And that brings us to the end of our look at eligibility under the new law. Again, this is not the final story. There are numerous legal and constitutional challenges very likely to come, and potential paths for those blocked under the restrictions of the new law, which I will cover in a future video. Now, again, the new law is complex, and this video is the best picture we have as of today. I'll post updates in the pinned comments and the video description if anything changes, so check back. And if you'd like help understanding your eligibility or your next steps, I invite you to book an affordable one-on-one consultation with me at ItalianDual.com. We'll go through your unique situation and help you figure out whether or not you're eligible and your best path forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.